fatal thought impact, past painful thoughts. In fact, I blast tasteful thoughts and past. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet now. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kyusho here, and now, before we do continue, I'm very sure you guys are interested in jumping into this part because of what happened in the last part, which we shall go over very quickly and then just jump right into it. Now, in the last part, strange things were going on with Deku and Aki. Both of them were still trying to readjust to the strange way their bodies had mutated thanks to the liquid they were exposed to. And Deku, he's becoming more like a yautja. And Aki, she seems to be becoming more like a human. And that is something strange the two are both experiencing. And yeah. In the midst of all the chaos, Deku, he hasn't really left home. However, they're coming to visit Deku because of the information they saw on the engineer. They saw Aki admit that Deku meant something to her. And, while this was something that was unpredicted, it was something that wasn't to be unexpected. Vedacha, he came to see his daughter. He knew that the two, they may be close allies, or at least close commanders. He thought that their relationship would be professional. However, he's found out that they've been dating, in a way, for almost 6 years. And Vedacha, well, he was angry. He actually was thankful it was longer than he thought. Because that would mean that Deku and Aki didn't get together after the Visions quest, which he had a slight fear would happen. However, he didn't expect it to. Now, Vedacha, he was thankful because that does mean that at least Deku and Aki didn't use each other as a crutch during that time. Or, in a way, more or less, they weren't in a vulnerable state of mind. And that does mean that their relationship, it was built on a stronger foundation. Now, Vedacha, he did at least get angry at the fact that Deku would go behind him this way. And he challenged Deku to a fight. He told him that once he gets things sorted out with his body or whatever the hell is going on with him, they are going to have a battle. And the way this battle would work is a lot like the way that battle would work is a lot like the way yautja like to do their debates. Instead of one group bringing something to the argument and the other person trying to battle against it with words, it's a bit more physical. In a way, it's a death match, or at least a way to fight. The yautja, their ideals are put through their fist, and if they win, their ideals can ultimately be the thing that do go on forwards, while that person's they're sat in the dust. However, this challenge, it's a lot like that. However, the winner can request something of the loser. And that's something that Deku, he's looking into. As today, Deku, he's at least making sure that his body's okay. Vedacha, he left the planet. And he's at least given him a message. He will come back. If Deku does not give him or at least reissue this challenge whenever he believes that he is fit to, then he will come back here with an army. And he will literally drag Deku onto his ship to fight. And if he does refuse, or the two of them they do try to run, they're going to have to take this entire planet with them. Because they will not get away. And that's something that Aki, she's actually kind of concerned with. She understands that Deku, he wouldn't run. However, the fact that her father put these people in this way, it does show exactly how angry this has made him. Her father is willing to go to war with the humans and annihilate their species just because of what these two, the way their relationship is. And Deku, he's at least been a bit unnerved. It's been a few days since then. Deku at least going to walk over and sit down directly across from Aki, as he has going to bring his hand outwards, and Aki she has going to reach out with her own. As this time of the two they do make contact, the sharp spark they did feel, it actually has turned into a slightly, well, higher sting. As of the two they do make contact, it's almost like electricity passing to your body from a balloon. However, the feeling doesn't stop. It feels like it's on repeat. Well, it does feel like they're having a taser run through their arm. It doesn't feel as painful. And that's something that Deku, he can live with. His arm feeling this shocking numbness, it's alright. And you do actually at least have a key. She does understand the way Deku does feel. And exactly the way this has been going. They've been trying to expose themselves to each other a bit more. Try and make physical contact and see exactly if this thing is permanent. They weren't exactly sure, but it seems like the more they're exposing themselves or making contact, would be a better way of saying it actually, they do have this effect go away. The more they're doing this, the easier it's becoming to make contact again. And that's something that Deku and Aki they do actually somewhat smile at each other about. As the feeling does go to run up Deku's arm, and Deku he does at least go to stare at that. As he does go to look down at his other hand. And the moment he does actually go to bring up his other hand, you do actually have Aki, who, while she's staring at Deku, her other hand is going to come up. And Aki she does actually go to turn and look at it, as she does go to pull back her hand from Deku. And Deku, he actually is going to look up towards Aki. As the two of them they do notice the exact same way they're standing. As Deku does go to close his fingers and then go to open his hands back up. And Aki, she actually is going to do the same thing with the hand that made contact with Deku. And Deku, he does look at that. It's so strange. Now, we do actually have some time later, where after Deku and Aki were trying to get things a lot more set up and settled, you could say, Walter he did come by. Walter, he came by, and he tried to ask these two exactly if they'd be willing to talk with him. As whenever Deku does walk out, he does see a man with black hair, as he's also got longer hair and a short beard. Him dressed up in a bit more of a casual outfit, and telling Deku a few things. As he has to bring his hands up and go to hold out a large container, expressing to these two that he believes that this should actually help them out. What is it? Well, it's theoretical, so there's that. So you don't even know if it works. Yes. But that's just the thing. We don't know how that other goo worked. This stuff, it should help you out, but there's a catch. A catch, really? And what would that be? Well, you're coming up on a month, and that is a problem. If you are to, well, go past this, we do not know. I would recommend taking that injection, and at least sitting down somewhere comfortable. Okay, but there's a question we've been meaning to ask. Go ahead. Do you exactly know what is going on with us? You two have been sort of evasive. You've told us a lot, but anything past that you guys are sort of just lost on. That is true, Scar, but it is all science. And right now we're delving into realms of unpredictable science. Things we don't even fully understand. Even with what we would consider the modern day, to you the future, we are still discovering things. Hell, I don't exactly know how to put it to you. But, from my understanding, my belief, you two are, in a way, hybridizing. What? Hybridizing. I believe that while you are becoming more like a human, or Misaki is becoming more like a human, you are becoming more like a yautja. I mean, the evidence is already clear. Your face, the places on your jaw where we fixed it, they've healed and somewhat turned a bit strange, haven't they? You've noticed it? I did? Yeah? But you're gonna be able to fix us, right? I don't know the answer to that, Zuko. I don't know. However, I do believe that I can at least provide an alternative. Well, those needles do pertain something that David has worked on. I'm going to hold something up. As Deku, he does see two small syringes. Him expressing that these are something that he's been working on himself. David, the man isn't exactly too easy to work with, and he does find it to be kind of annoying. While he is an expert in the goo, just like him, the two of them, they can't really seem to come to an agreement as to where the goo would start and where it would end with manipulation of DNA, especially considering exactly what DNA can be made out of, the materials, the type of DNA, the gene code, and everything down to the very models, the molecules. Now, this is that Deku and Aki they do listen to. As Walter, he does continue to explain. He talks about how if these two, they do want to make a choice, they can use his needles or David's. Well, David's would help them. He's not exactly too sure how it can affect them, especially because of the circumstances they're currently in. They're taking all the medications David has given them, and they don't even know what they will do. They theoretically know what they will do, but they're being tested right now. And then there's this little concoction David has made. This should all but stop what's going on with them. And while that is good and all, you do actually at least have where he does get to hold up his needles, expressing that he's been working on these to actually somewhat speed it up, because he doesn't believe that they're exactly in the golden age yet. Golden age? Yes, or I believe the correct term here would be the golden state. You two are changing into hybrids of the species. And if we're correct in any sort of way, we believe that you will eventually stop mutating. However, the rate at which you're going at, you two have suffered from organ failure. And we got you guys back, but that was difficult. The way you two were changing, it was fast. The fact that we stopped you where we did, it was good, but we can't stop it. We could slow it down and make it, well, agonizing, but you two would survive. Eventually, you would get there. But that's what David's trying to stop. He doesn't know what you two will be. If you two will even still be sentient. If you two will even still be you. Because from the way he sees it, you two could become monsters. Okay. And what about your needles? Well, I do understand how you feel about it, Scar. However, they would slightly increase the speed of which you two will change. It will prompt new cell growth. And in fact, if I'm correct on my assumption, dead cells will be recycled. In a way, it will also help to improve your speed. I see. But dead cells, aren't they? Some cells are carried out by the blood. Others are, well, fall off. But the way this will work with your blood cells as well will also be different. Your healing capabilities might increase as well. I understand that the yautja can regenerate limbs. And while that is also something we are studying, it is something that you need to be made aware of. your wounds, they may heal in great succession. And I do hope you understand. Now, David, he does go to set down the needle, as he does go to turn and walk away. As Deku, he does listen to that last part. The yautja can regenerate their limbs. Deku turning back to Aki, asking why she never told him that a yautja could do that. It's fairly complicated, Scar. First of all, you don't exactly need to save the limb, but you do have to patch it quickly and save the arm if you do wish, because otherwise it won't be too good. Regenerating the limb would take months, and most yautja, they do at least point out that it does feel strange afterwards. A certain loss, if you will, with a rebuild. Less feeling and a lot more difficulties holding weapons. In a way, it's a crutch, but it's one that many yautja, they do get over. Jesus. So, I could lose my entire forearm and it would just grow back? No, Scar. While it could be possible with more advanced healing techniques, I don't believe the natural yautja body could do that. You're serious. But regenerating an entire hand, the bone, there's no bone. It would all just be cartilage and muscle, along with, well, hardened muscles that would act as bones. However, they're a little more, well, susceptible to muscle strain. That's creepy. Yes, it is a strange thing that many yautja, they do try to point out. Okay, but what should we do? Scar, I don't know. Like, you going to walk over to the couch. Her going to sit down on it as Deku does going to walk over. Him sitting down on the other side of the couch as he's going to reach out with his thoughts, expressing to Aki what he's thinking. And Aki, she doesn't even really have to try and do this. Her just turning to Deku, as she is going to reach out for the connection as well. The two of them, they do start talking. As Aki does point out exactly what is wrong. The pain they're feeling, they can get over. And it's not saying that she feels like it would last too long. Yes, there's pain many yautja do have, and the most of it you can get is from your dreadlocks, but right now this is harder to compare it to. Plus, there's also the chance that their bodies, they don't change fast enough organically. And then there's the idea that they could die. Now, Deku, he does know Aki's frustrations, as he is thinking about what is wrong with them. There's a chance that they can turn into mindless monsters. And Deku, he'd rather keep his mind where it is. Especially because right now his mind used to worry about a fight. And that's something that Deku, he does try to dwell on a bit. He's wondering exactly what they should do for now. As Araki, she's going to look at Deku. She's going to at least tell him that he needs to fight her father. Aki, you do know what this would mean, though. I do. And I'm aware. I am aware, Scar. I'm aware my father could kill you. If he does spare your life and you concede, though, that's a problem. Why? Because you could be banished from the clan. And this place could be locked off to you. Huh? Scar. The punishment for losing, it's worse than death for many yautja. And it draws them to the bad bloods. No. But, shit. He can't do that. He just wants to take you away from me. If he would... No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Scar, are you alright? No, I'm not. Okay. Shit. He would kill me, wouldn't he? I don't know. He seemed angry, so the possibility is there. Okay. Okay. But what if I win? Scar, I'm sorry, but I don't know if you could win against my father. No, no, listen. What if there's a chance I can? If I learn his moves, the ancient yautja he trained us. And that man was insane. Your father, my father might as well be an ancient. He's getting to the age. And I don't know, Scar. If he falls, if he dies, what then? What happens? His elites, they would try to step up. More than likely, they'll take over. And since he was the last remaining head of the clan, a lot more problems can arise. My father's been leading the yautja. My father's been leading my family's clan for years, long before my birth. And I don't know. This doesn't feel right. If you have to kill him, Scar, I I don't know. You can't back out of this. The punishment's death. And this challenge, once issued, it might as well be an act of war. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Scar. You're going to have to fight. And from what I can tell, well, my father, he could force me to go with him. I still do have my power here as the leader. I could seek asylum with one of the other clans, but the idea that they'll take me, I don't know. I could do that, and he would have to challenge their head, but that's the problem. I don't know. There's no way out of this, Scar. Death or we run. Deku just thinking. Every solution he does see here, a key isn't with him. A key and him, they aren't together. A key and him, they're separated. A key leaves with their father. And Deku, he is able to back away from this fight. Otherwise, the two would be separated. Deku would fight and die, but they'd both be alive. The idea of them running off. The two of them, they could run off and leave the humans to the yautja. Well, these humans, they have not broken the honor code. Somebody would have to step up as a clan leader. And Deku does have a good feeling as to who that would be. And then there's their fate. They can try and run across the universe, travel the stars, and fly as far away from this part of space as they can. Go to a galaxy far, far away, and stay away. Now, aside from the Star Wars reference and the joke that did follow, there is only one way Deku can see out of this. The possibility where Deku, he is able to fight and beat Vedacha. If he is able to do so, then they can live their lives, get this solved, and, well, lead this clan on. Continue the hunt. Go find more engineers. Deku understands that these men, they most likely were foot soldiers, the ones they killed and slaughtered. There might be more people pulling the strings. They don't know how many more of these engineers are out there. The fact they exist is a very threat to them. They know where one of their planets are right now. They need to set a mission back and get what they can from there. Learn what they can from there. And get what information they can. Now, Deku, he does know exactly how hard this all can be. However, he does understand it needs to be done. And as a few weeks do go by, Deku and Ki, they do somewhat try to think about this choice. As for the first week, they were sort of on the fence. For the second, they were still pondering everything. And by the third week, you did actually have a slight change. Deku and Ki, they were actually able to make physical contact without that feeling. Plus, there was a way it felt to them. Without that weird stinging, without that weird electricity that they just felt every time they touched. They believed it might have been their nervous systems linking together. And while that is gone now, there is everything else. They can feel what each other feel. Everything. And it did seem strange at first, but it almost changed their relationship. And that was the strange thing. You do actually have by week 3. Deku and Ki, they were still confused about what they should do. By the end of it, Deku, he felt good enough. He challenged Vedacha to this fight, and he was ready. Well, his body was still changing. Yes, he felt good about it. He filled out more. He doesn't look so scrawny. As we do currently have, where Deku, him, and Vedacha, they're standing in a ring. And the rules have all been explained to them. As it's essentially back out, and the two of them they may live. They will be given one final thing. The person who has issued this challenge, they can retract it, and more than likely still leave with honor. And Deku does stare at Vedacha. As Vedacha, he is not going to back down. And the referees, you can call them, they do start to list a few things. As you do actually have where weapons of choice are asked of. And Vedacha, he talks about how he preferred to use his bare hands. And Deku, he does hear that. And while he does try to think of a weapon that he could use, he doesn't really come up with them. As you do have Vedacha and Deku currently standing in the ring and going to fight. It is the size of a coliseum, and there are many cameras on them that everybody they can see. As Vedacha and Deku, they do get ready. As Deku does start to get a bit low to the ground, and Vedacha he does see the stance Deku does take. As over the two they do start fighting, Vedacha he does go to charge directly forwards and towards Deku. As Deku he does try to leap forwards directly at Vedacha like Mirako. And as Deku is going to do this, you do actually have Vedacha who he is able to meet Deku, and he is going to bring up his hand. He goes to block Deku's wild jab before we're going to grab his hand that is going to send out a targeted one. And he does going to grab that arm before he is going to bring his hand upwards and directly smash Deku in the face. As he does so, Deku does get sent on the back foot and stepping backwards. Vedacha just stepping forwards and going to bring up his hand. Him punching down into Deku as he's going to throw another right. And you do actually have Deku. He does going to try and block this right, but as he does, you do actually have Vedacha who's going to bring out a straight jab. As over Deku does going to block the right, he does get directly punched into his chest. As he actually does going to feel blood cough or blood pool into his mouth. Now, as Deku does going to feel it, you do actually have Vedacha is going to continue stepping forwards. Him actually going to bring his hand upwards and directly slash at Deku's forearm. As over Deku, he does going to block that attack. He does get scratched up along his arm. And Deku actually does going to bring up his hand directly to punch Vedacha directly in the chest. As Vedacha is going to take the punch and then going to step backwards for a minute. As he does going to step back forwards. Now, Deku, he actually does try to go on the offensive. Him rushing forwards and actually going to attack with his claws. As the two actually are very similar in size now. This man's 9 feet tall, but Deku, he's almost 7. And right now, he actually is thinking about how this fight would have gone down if he was still a regular human. However, Deku, he's learned far much from then. As you do actually have where Deku, he does go step forwards and charge Vedacha. As Deku, he actually is able to get in before he is going to actually throw out a solid fist. Vedacha going to bring his hand upwards to block the fist. As Vedacha, he does find that Deku's strength has increased. As Deku, he does go to bring his other hand upwards and directly go to throw a jab downwards into Vedacha's side. As the moment Deku does go to do this, you do actually have where he does go to bring his hand upwards after the jab and directly go to stab his fingers into Vedacha's side. Vedacha actually somewhat flinching in pain and is going to bring his hand upwards and directly go to grab onto Deku's face. Him slashing away at his cheek as he's going to try and pull a hand of flesh off of Deku. Now, Deku, he actually has to twist his fingers and is going to pull his face back. And Vedacha, his fingertips, they actually do retract and pull some flesh away. As Deku and Vedacha, after stepping backwards, they do stare at each other. Vedacha, he does stare at the green liquid pulling from his side. And he actually is going to look up at Deku. As his face, it also does get a bit more confused, since Deku, he does have blood pouring from his own wounds. However, they seem strange. His blood is red, but there's something there. It seems to be thick like a yautja's blood, and, well, not as watery. Along with that, there's a red glow to it. And that's something that many people they are staring at. They knew that humans had changed, but this is new, right? And you do actually have where Deku is going to step forwards. As you do actually have where something strange happens. Deku's mind, he gets a strange feeling. As whenever he does, he is going to directly look towards Vedacha, and Vedacha, he does stare at Deku's eyes for a minute. As Deku, he does go to turn his head, before he does go to step forwards and move. As Vedacha, he actually does get clocked across his face by Deku. And Deku, he does actually go to bring up his other hand, him punching outwards, as Vedacha, he does get to snap out of whatever strange fatigue he was in. And Deku, whenever he does get to throw his punch, Vedacha, he does get to directly grab onto Deku's fist with his teeth. As he does use his mandibles to directly stab into the hand with the sharp bones. Now, Vedacha, he does try to chew down into Deku's fist to try and break his fingers. He wants to turn Deku's entire hand to dust. And as Vedacha is doing that, you actually have where he does going to bring up his hands. Him going to grab directly onto Deku as he does going to pick him upwards and start to try and pull. Now, Vedacha does hold Deku by both of his arms. And he does actually find it to be quite surprising. As a normal human, they already would have popped under the pressure he's currently putting into Deku's body. And Deku, he does start to feel it, as the loud sounds of one of his arms being pulled from the joint can be heard. And Deku actually starts to scream out in pain. As, after doing so, many yautja they are watching. As Deku, he does going to bring up his legs. Deku directly going to kick with as much force as he can into Vedacha's chin. And Deku, he actually does get some success. He does feel Vedacha temporarily loosen his grip. And while Deku does try to force his arms across each other to try and at least break free, you do actually have Vedacha. He does hold still. Deku, he does try to bring up his arms to fight. However, Vedacha, this man has had way more experience. He has had way more combat training, and the fight here, it is practically not a fight. This is more like a slaughter. And Akiishi actually is watching. As Deku, he does try to fight back. Him trying to force his legs into Vedacha's stomach as hard as he can, as Vedacha, he's trying to pull Deku in two. And this is something that does go one way or the other. However, right now, this is the other way. And Deku, he actually does start to feel it. For a minute, it takes him a second to register. He was laying on the ground and on his side. And there was no arm. He wasn't laying down on his arm. He could feel it. The space where an arm should be is not there. And Deku, he didn't know what to do. He could see the glowing blood on the ground, and he could see everybody in the arena, but they're just so quiet. And Deku, he didn't understand. As we do actually have where he is starting to fade a bit. He can feel the blood pouring from his wounds, and he can feel his arm. It is trying to fix itself. It's trying to close the wound on its own, but it's not working. And you do actually at least have a key. She felt this phantom pain in her shoulder, and she actually was very worried. As you do actually have where she was going to look down at the arena, and she started to scream in her own mind to Deku. As Deku, while he was fading, you do actually at least have a key. She went to scream for Deku to stay conscious. And Deku, he actually was sort of able to do so. A key being able to force Deku back to the land of the living. And Deku, while he was trying to stay focused, he just couldn't find the strength. However, right now you do actually have a key. As Deku, he does go to somewhat move his hand down and show that he's actually still alive. And Vedacha, whenever he was going to hold up Deku's arm, he actually was going to somewhat turn and look down. As, apparently Deku, he may still have some fight left in him. And Vedacha, he didn't really even know what to say. As we do actually have our Deku, he does go to reach down and grab something. He knows that he's been on the fence about it. Him and Aki, they were going to come to a decision together. However, right now, he doesn't know if this will be it. He doesn't know if this decision he's about to make will kill him. He's already at death's door. So right now, he's going to throw that caution to the damn wind. As Vedacha, him going to drop down Deku's arm. Whenever he does start to walk over and he does go to reach down for Deku, you do actually have for Deku, he does going to turn his body and go to bring up a hand. As whenever the arm does directly go to grab onto Vedacha, it takes Vedacha a second to realize what the hell is going on. As whenever he does go to try and bring his hands up to grab down at Deku, you did actually have where Deku, he does go to bring up Vedacha's right arm and his left arm. And this only confused Vedacha more. If Deku's grabbing onto him with his left arm, what the hell is wrapped around his neck? And Vedacha, he actually started to feel it. This thing he's feeling, it doesn't feel like traditional human skin. And you do actually have everybody else in the arena. They're staring down at the combat. And two of the combatants, they're both still there and fighting. And right now there's one of the combatants, the one they've all thought was a human. As he's staying there, and attached to his shoulder is another arm. But this one, it's not a human arm. And even Aki, she's confused. She sees a needle sticking off of Deku, and it takes her a second to realize what he may have done. As Deku, he does go to at least bring back his fist and directly go to jab Vedacha upwards into the throat. Now, Vedacha, he actually has to back away for a second as he's still trying to process what's happening. Since his strategic mind, it didn't know any information for a minute. And he did go to let his guard down slightly because he already thought he won. As everybody there staring at Deku as the rest of his armor does start to form and rebuild. As the muscle in it does start to regrow and loop around to more muscle. Before eventually Deku, he actually does have what looked like a half-formed arm start to inflate with muscle. And that was what everyone they were focusing on. As Deku, he does stand there. And right now, one arm looks like a yautja's, while the rest of his body does look human. And there are actually at least some of the slashes on Deku's other arm, as those wounds have healed. But right now, the skin, it's yautja's skin. And with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll catch you guys in the next part.